Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. I'm KP, Nick is here in attendance with myself. We are going to be discussing on today's video everything that went down and happened at the King and Queen of the Ring event. So this Saturday, just gone, literally yesterday as of recording, in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, we had the King and Queen of the Ring event, and it was pretty spectacular in some ways, very up to discussion in some particular parts. We're going to be getting into everything that happened here and now. How about we get started with our kickoff show match? So this is on the pre-show. I think they call it the countdown to the Queen and King of the Ring events. That's what they sort of call them now, the countdown shows. And yeah, we started off with the women's tag team titles. They were on the line. We had Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair defending up against Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. Now, for those of you who watched our video regarding the predictions for this event, this match wasn't included in that because this was only announced on the Friday Night SmackDown, literally that got broadcasted live from Jeddah the night before. So we didn't know this match was going to happen, weren't aware of this as a situation. But anyway, we were treating this one as a countdown match, and to be honest, you know, it served its purpose. It was a decent enough one, kicked off the show in terms of like getting the crowd pumped up and ready to go, just a little bit of action to kick things off. And yeah, no unexpected results here, no shockers. It was basically the, as you'd expect, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair retaining in what was, like I say, a decent enough match, back and forth between the two teams. I thought it was actually kind of good. Like, we've seen Indy and Candice not really have matches in the past that have been anything really noteworthy to talk about too much. But I thought Indy and Candice actually, they were showcased a little bit more this time. What were your thoughts on, sort of like a general sort of speaking, Nick? Do you think it was one that showcased all four women quite well? Like, did it give them enough time? Yeah, what were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, as you mentioned, didn't have any opportunity to speak on this as we didn't know it existed. But they couldn't announce it ahead of time because Bianca was still a potential to be a finalist. So anyways, yeah, I thought the match was pretty good. A couple of notches above the house show, and I think if anything, Indy and Candice maybe booked a little too strong. Because I just don't see any. I don't see any way for these two to lose their titles without one of them turning on the other. I just don't. I don't honestly, especially with how the women's tag team division is booked. I don't see that happening anytime soon. But yeah, I think Indy and Candice, Indy in particular, I think have great potential and could be utilized a lot better than they are. But yeah, this was a fun way to get it started and a good way to show off two of the top talent from the division to the Saudi crowd.
Yeah, exactly that. And, it was, like you say, you mentioned quite a decent point there about maybe the challenges were a little bit too overbooked maybe in this one. But, over showcased. I think it's just testament to the new era that we're in. I think, giving more people a chance, allowing them to sort of like let people know what they're actually capable of. Even on like a countdown match like this, nothing like crazy or anything, but obviously for a women's championship tag team titles, it's something of importance and relevance, even with that sort of saying. I give this one a 6 out of 10. Yeah, like I said, nothing too special, but it was good enough to sort of like get things started and to work from there on as a matchup type thing. So yeah, 6 out of 10 was my perspective from this one.
Yeah, and I give it a 5 out of 10 just because I typically don't even rate the pre-shows, but yeah, this one was better than most pre-shows, I think. So
yeah, absolutely fair. Couldn't agree with you more there. So that was obviously the countdown match. Let's get down into the main show, and we kick things off with the women's championship. So from one women's match to another, we had Liv Morgan going one-on-one with Becky Lynch for the women's world championship, and this was Becky's first offense since picking up the women's world championships. So Liv Morgan, she has that history with Rhea Ripley. Her and Becky were sort of neck and neck to try and win that championship in that battle royal in the first place. And was this Liv's opportunity to get the win in this one and to become the rightful women's champion? And we actually saw a title change here. Liv Morgan did successfully capture the women's championship, but it wouldn't come without controversy, because the match was going along quite nicely here. I thought it had a nice flow to it, a little bit back and forth. Both women really pushing each other to the limit. And there would be a point where probably about 3/4 into the match, we'd see Dominic Mysterio coming in. And for those of you who watched the Countdown show, there was a little bit of interaction between Liv and Dom backstage, a little bit of a discussion there. And yeah, Dom, obviously still around, still interested in the situation, would come on out and would attempt to help Becky win the match. He would insert a steel chair into the ring, and he would hope that Becky would use it. He distracted the referee in a case that gave Becky a window to act on that. She didn't. She didn't take advantage of it. Liv Morgan would actually take advantage of it, though. She would go in and DDT Becky Lynch onto the steel chair and then pick up the win after the Oblivion. So, yeah, Dom Mysterio not really doing what he was out there for. But was this actually Dom's plan from the start? Maybe it was to capitalize on the confused Becky Lynch. Maybe it was to give Liv Morgan that championship so Mommy could get her revenge going forward. Do you think I'm looking into it too deeply then, Nick, or do you think that it was just a complete failure from Dom?
I don't disagree with your theory there. It was strange to me that Dom A went all the way out there and B was ringside, because it's quite rare, unless, and kind of goes in hand with your theory, it's quite rare for someone to be sitting ringside that has really nothing to do with the actual competitors, like not on the team of either of the competitors, or a champion kind of scouting out the competition. So that was a strange scenario in itself. But yeah, I guess that, I don't know. I feel like if Rhea is going to come back with a vengeance and you go after Liv, I don't really feel like she necessarily would need the title for that. And at least in the character that they portray Dom as, I don't feel like he's that smart to try to pull off something like that, personally, to go with your theory. But regardless, I think this is the one thing we did predict correctly. I think we both knew that Liv was eventually going to get it. Just didn't think it would be this soon. But honestly, I'm happy with it. I'm okay with it. I just felt like the Dom was maybe, personally, a bit unnecessary. And I hate heel interference in the first place. Unnecessarily so. But regardless, I think Liv deserves a second chance at a title run. And it's kind of a weird feeling, though, because it feels like this whole rivalry was kind of rushed a little bit. The storyline was kind of rushed a little bit. And even with Liv winning, I think I'm probably, I probably have this in common with most people. It just feels like we're just kind of a placeholder here. It just feels like Rhea still, as Dom mentioned, that's Mommy's title. And it still kind of feels that way to me. And it feels like that kind of looms over the whole story anyways. So it'll be interesting to see when she gets back, kind of where we go from there. But I think it was inevitable, Liv versus Rhea. Just I don't think the title even needed to be there, but obviously that makes it much more important and I guess heartbreaking if Liv is to lose it right back.
Yeah, we had a big discussion in the predictions video as to whether this was a transitional champion within a transitional champion, didn't we? So whether we thought that Becky was going to transition to Liv, who would then transition to Rhea in like a bigger picture type thing. And that seems like it could be the case at the moment with obviously Dom being, in this sort of particular picture. There's always that looming threat of Rhea Ripley, whether she's going to be out for a while or if she's going to be a bit more short term than we might think. When she comes back, she's going out to Liv. We know that. Like you mentioned it a moment ago, it looks like it's going to be for the championship as well when it does eventually happen. So whoever knows how long this title reign's going to last, it's going to lead to Liv versus Rhea. I think we can all pretty much assume that's going to be the case. But yeah, I mean, like you said, surprising that it did happen here and now. Thought maybe Becky could have held on to it a little longer. Maybe they could have had a rematch at some point down the line, and then that would have been Liv's moment. But yeah, again, agree with you because we do that a lot. I don't really have a problem with this. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I think it's a good moment for Liv, and I'm happy for her, pleased for her, and this leads to a good place in the stories. So on the back of that, then I gave this one a 7.5 out of 10. Quite enjoyed the matchup, to be fair. Yeah, sure, the interference was a little bit confusing. Perhaps we can obviously delve into that a little bit more. But yeah, 7.5. Happy to see Liv as a champion. Think she deserves it, and looking forward to seeing how her run goes this time compared to last time.
Yeah, I don't think you have to do too much. I feel like her character work alone is leagues above what it was, and obviously that's typically easier as a heel. But her in-ring work is, leagues above what it was, I think, the first time. And you can't book a much worse reign than they did the first time either. So it would be hard to not have more success on this run, even if it will inevitably fall to Mommy once again. But yeah, I thought the match was great. Yeah, I could have done without the Dom interference, which just felt a little unnecessary. But that being said, I still gave it an 8 out of 10.
Alrighty then. So swiftly moving on. How about we go into our next bit of action then that took place after that one? And this one was for the Intercontinental Championship. We saw a triple threat match that took place between Bronson Reed, Chad Gable, and Sami Zayn. So we mentioned in the prediction video that there were 3 elements to this one. There was the mind, there was the body, there was the soul. And it would be the soul that would pick up the victory here and retain his championship successfully. Sami Zayn, still the Intercontinental Champion after the end of this one. And this one was a hell of a watch. It was very, very fun, very, very entertaining. And it was one of those matches that I think you can probably go back and watch a number of times. I know I certainly will anyway, especially myself being a Sami fan. But yeah, let's talk about a little bit in more detail. Again, I said entertaining and enjoyable because it was exactly that. There were so many great spots throughout this one. It just seemed to be that once the match started, the tempo immediately hit a certain point and it didn't really fall from that. It just kept on sort of sticking at that level. And everyone was really sort of like in the mix from the very get-go to the very end. Like there were a couple of moments maybe where like somebody was just out of the ring, maybe just waiting for something particular to happen, and then that was it, quickly back in again afterwards. But those moments were very, very short. And I could really go into all the different details here regarding what happened. Like we saw a double German suplex by Chad Gable. There was a double powerbomb by Bronson Reed, an ankle lock on somebody doing an ankle lock. There were so many individual elements as well as all of those like particular triple threat moments as well. I just think a big thing for me here, I'm just talking generally here, the triple threats, the fatal four ways, whatever, the multi-man matches, since this whole new era has begun, and I'm talking like the prelude to this era as well, off the back of obviously the old era. I feel like these multi-man matches have got a lot better. They feel a lot more fun to watch, and they seem to showcase everyone a lot more. So I think like we're sort of like seeing the best out of everybody who's in these matches, and I think it's sort of like testament to how the product is nowadays, and that for me is just brilliant. This is no exception to that. This match was a really, really great watch, and Sami winning for me is the absolute perfect scenario here. He can obviously pin Bronson Reed, not Chad Gable, and we saw the interaction between Gable and Otis at ringside. That obviously leads to their story enhancing going forward. The Alpha Academy obviously not really at the same page. And then Sami and Chad, I don't think is done for the moment here as well. Going off the back of this one then, Nick. So Sami pinning Bronson, that effectively removes him from the championship situation, you would imagine. And then that leaves maybe Chad with an excuse. Oh, well, you didn't pin me. Do you think that's where this one is? Do you think that's where this one is going? Do you think we can maybe see another Sami versus Chad singles match going forward, or do you think maybe Chad has a few things to do within the Alpha Academy, and especially his number one guy Otis for the time being?
Referring to the flow of the triple threat matches, etc., I couldn't agree more in terms of they just flow better now. There was a time where they felt very clunky, especially with the women's side. It just felt like someone would have to like roll out and kind of awkwardly sit at the side. I don't catch myself seeing that now. So either, as you said, they've just gotten better at organizing those, or I've either got used to it. But I'm pretty sure it's the former, not the latter. So, but yeah, that being said, I think this was probably a match on most people's cards for potential to be match of the night, and in my opinion, it was. My only complaint, I'm grasping at straws, is the you have the ringside debacle with Otis, and that, as you said, that does a great job of continuing that storyline. And I would be absolutely shocked if that's not where they're going with it. My issue is with Bronson, who was not in this picture at all, and then Sammy gets back in the ring after avoiding the clothesline from Otis to kind of put Chad out of the picture. But then Bronson's still kind of just standing there up against the turnbuckles. I felt like that was a little strange and kind of made him look a little weak in terms of, obviously he took the pinfall as well. But again, it's a minor issue with overall a damn near perfect match in my opinion. But yeah, some of the spots you mentioned, the double suplex and the blue power bomb or thunder bomb from Sammy to Bronson was incredible. But this was a really fun watch, and definitely one that I'll probably go back and watch myself. I think it's inevitable. I think that Chad will probably eventually take this title from Sammy. Maybe like a SummerSlam. I think this feud's far from over, and it'll be interesting to see how they draw it up. But yeah, I think for me, I gave this one 9 out of 10. Pretty close to a perfect match in my opinion.
Very similar rating to me, and you've basically given the same sort of reason why as well. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10, and literally, I remember thinking to myself earlier on when I watched it back, and it did seem like they could have had Sammy maybe have like a slight, I don't know, like go between with Bronson Reed to maybe get to a point where he can hit him with a haluva kick shortly afterwards, rather than just getting in the ring and just going straight over with a haluva. Yeah, I think maybe that could have been slightly altered, but besides that, I mean, you're picking at straws really there, aren't you? You're clutching to try to really find a criticism there. But I guess it's kind of noticeable we're both picking up on it. But yeah, what a match. Absolutely tremendous. Everyone, involved here was just fantastic. And, this reign's got off to a pretty good start as far as I'm concerned. So how about we go on then to one half of the aforementioned show. So this is the Queen of the Ring tournament final. And we had Lyra Valkyria representing Monday Night Raw going one-on-one with Nia Jax representing Friday Night SmackDown. And going into this one, Lyra, she did extremely well to get to the final. No one really predicted at the very start of the tournament that she would be in this position come the end of it all. She would be going one-on-one for the Queen of the Ring title. And then she'd be standing across the ring from Nia Jax, somebody who, ever since returning to the company, has, I guess, really tried to prove the doubters wrong. She seems to have improved a fair bit, and I think we predicted that Nia becoming Queen of the Ring would be absolutely wonderful for her and, her gimmick. And that is exactly what happened. She would defeat Lyra Valkyria in what was a match that I'm describing as how you'd expect it to go. When you've got somebody the stature and size of Nia Jax up against someone like Lyra Valkyria, you've only really got one sort of flow you could have. You've got that sort of underdog style fight, bringing it to the bigger competitor, and then eventually the power to sort of like overtakes that and proves to be too much in the end. And Lyra fought really hard. I thought she did very well. She managed to hit Nia with some various maneuvers that actually sort of like made it look like she could have had a reasonable chance of winning here. But it was just a finisher out of nowhere. The Annihilator came out just out of nothing, really. I think Lyra was attempting some sort of like powerbomb maneuver with Nia on the second rope. And it was a very nice finish, in my opinion. Just sort of like caught it out of nowhere. Unexpected, maybe, at that particular point. And yeah, Nia becoming Queen of the Ring. How do you think this is going to impact her and her gimmick here? And what were your thoughts on this matchup? Did you like the flow between these two?
Yeah, I think, as you mentioned, I think we both kind of thought that Nia Jax was the right choice in terms of becoming the queen. Just fits her character better. And taking absolutely nothing away from Lyra. I don't think anyone thought she was going to be there just because it was so early in her call up. But that being said, what a hell of a debut and way to kick off your main roster debut. And honestly, I kind of, when she got called up, from what I've seen, I liked her on NXT, but by no means I didn't think she was guaranteed to get called up, and she's kind of proven me wrong a little bit in terms of she does belong here, and I think when she clearly has the in-ring aspect, so when she gets that promo part down, I think she could potentially be a very key player in the women's division for many years to come. And again, I think Nia was the right choice here. It fits her character better. I think she'll do more with the gimmick. But as for the match itself, I honestly felt like it showcased Lyra more than anything. I think Lyra looked to be able to compete with Nia in ring. And really, I didn't see any issues with her in-ring style, and that's hard to do, because when you see these, especially the smaller talent get in with a bigger talent like Nia, it kind of messes with their flow and how they're able to carry on a match. But I really didn't see any of that, that wasn't intentional, like when she tried to trip Nia and that sort of thing. It was clearly obvious that's how they were booking it. I didn't see any other issues. Like, nothing else really felt awkward to me, and I feel like that's hard to do, especially for someone who's just getting called up. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see what Lyra can do, and this was a great start to it. And I think Nia will. I think this is a great opportunity for Nia to continue to improve what I believe is her biggest opportunity for improvement, which is her promo work. The Arrogant Queen, I think it's a great call on WWE, and I think while she's continuing to improve her in-ring ability, I think this is a great opportunity to improve the promo ability of it too. So I think this is a win for both of them as far as I'm concerned. And I think I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10. It's a pretty good match, and both women kind of were able to do what they went there to do. So this was a fun watch for me.
Yeah, making lots of really good points there. I really like the point that you made about Nia's promo work, and yeah, the Queen of the Ring title just sort of come with an element of being arrogant and being cocky and basically degrading every single person via the microphone. So Nia, I mean, this should be a lot of fun, right? I'm sure we can all agree that this is going to be something that she can really take in a stride. And yeah, if she can improve on that side of the game, then brilliant. I think she's already showing signs of improvements in ring. So to sort of like make that bigger picture for her, it's going to do her wonders. And obviously, this could be a catapult to SummerSlam championship match. Bailey, as things stand at the moment. So I mean, those two have history together. They've had matches in the past. Be interesting to see how that one would go. I gave this one a 7.5 out of 10, so I think slightly a little bit lower than yours. But yeah, take nothing away from this matchup. Thought it was great. And Lyra, not really suffering anything via that loss. Literally, she's 3 weeks into her main roster career, so I think it's remarkable that she got to that stage. So yeah, kudos to both women from this one. Wins all around. So from one side of the namesake of the event to the other, the King of the Ring tournament final would take place next, and we saw the Ring General Gunther going one-on-one with the Apex Predator Randy Orton. So Raw up against SmackDown once again, the two sides going up there into the final. And this would be a very interesting matchup. So Gunther and Randy Orton, that's like a dream match sort of caliber situation, right? When you got those two big names in there, you got like the present and maybe the future. Obviously, there's Gunther, and then you got the present and the past. That's sort of like Randy Orton, one of the legends of the industry. Yeah, this doesn't happen very often. So to see this one take place, very, very cool, very, very awesome to witness. And it was enjoyable. Like, I thought this was a very hard-hitting matchup. So, these guys really tested each other. They pushed us to the absolute limit. And the only slight issue that I have with it, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this in a little bit of detail, is the finish. And what I mean by that is we saw when Gunther would roll up Randy Orton after hitting that second RKO, which Gunther would kick out of, Randy's, I think it was his right shoulder, left shoulder. It wasn't on the canvas for the finish, which is a little bit of an awkward situation there. So I think everybody could really see that his shoulder was up, and yeah, it's a little bit of a question mark, a little bit of an asterisk on that one. But the referee's decision stands, as Triple H said after the end of the event. and maybe they could run it back going forward. But yeah, what a match this one was. I really enjoyed it. Heavy hitting contest. And yeah, just that little bit of criticism with the finish there. But I mean, King Gunther, I mean, that could be something that we're really going to look forward to, right? I mean, him, we've spoken about Nia and like what this is going to do for her. What do we think this is going to do for Gunther going forward, being the king of the ring? How do you think this is going to elevate him, like, into the next part of his career? Obviously, takes him from the Intercontinental Championship to King of the Ring to maybe a world title picture. Is that the natural transition that we have here, where he wins the world title later this year?
Yeah, and to further off the comment made from the last slide being that they finally made the decision. I know we just spoke about this on the predictions video, so it's a great opportunity to capitalize on that now, is that the winner of these tournaments finally get the championship opportunity. Better late than never, I guess, is my comment to that. And I think when it comes to Gunther in particular, you know, we've been, you know, singing his praises for how long now, and just saying, you know, whenever he gets rid of this IC title, or if he ever does, obviously his next step should be straight to the main title picture. And so here we are. So I think SummerSlam is late July, early August. I can't recall, but regardless, only a few months out. And now Gunther gets his opportunity. As far as his character work, kind of the same tune I was singing with Nia. Maybe this gives him the ability to continue his promo work, as I think that's probably the weakest point of his character, and not comparing the two by any means, but I think if there is one opportunity for improvement, Gunther's would obviously be the promo work. So yeah, I'm excited, and I thought the match overall was pretty good. I know Randy had the knee issue from the night before, you know, and now that maybe that's what kind of led me to really focus on this, but he just clearly he clearly comes across as being in a lot of pain. And his promo the other night, or I think it was last week, when he was kind of struggling to deliver that promo after his match, kind of, I think that and combined with this match in particular, it just feels like he is in a lot of pain, and just thinking about the psychology of, hey, I'm not supposed to use this knee, kayfabe or not, and then my back also hurts, you know, really bad. So combining those two would be hard, and so maybe that's kind of what it is. But it felt like that kind of dragged the match a little bit. So I think I wouldn't put this in Gunther's top matches by any means, but still a fun one. And in regards to the finish, I am never going to be a fan of a roll-up finish unless it's absolutely necessary to continue the story. Obviously, I don't think that's the case here. I don't think this is going to continue. But yeah, I think a proper finish would have been a better route. But we'll see with it. We'll see if they do anything with it. I prefer they not, but yeah, I think that does put a bit of a damper on what was otherwise a good match. I give this one an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. The only real dampener from the contest as a whole. Yeah, thought of this one in high regards as well. 8.5 out of 10 I gave it, so very similar to you. And yeah, I think with Randy with the bad knee, I think, you know, if you expose something like that to Gunther, he's going to take advantage of it, and that obviously played a part in that finish. But yeah, the shoulder up really sort of like left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, and I think it did for a lot of other people as well. But, you know, King Gunther, really looking forward to seeing where this takes him, and exciting times ahead for the Ring General. And as you said, better late than never with those guaranteed title opportunities for the King and Queen of the Ring winners. It's much, much needed. Okay, so we then ended the show with the main event, and this would see the undisputed Universal Championship being defended by Cody Rhodes up against the challenger on this occasion being Logan Paul, the Maverick. And we went into this one with a build-up basically being all about the brass knuckles. Will Logan Paul use them? He said that he's not going to. He's given them to Michael Cole. Everyone with a brain knew that this was going to be a swerve anyway, and he would end up still using them in some capacity. And yeah, It's exactly what happened. I don't know. The main criticism I have with this match is that it was very, very predictable in terms of the outcome and in terms of particular elements throughout that we just assumed would happen and take place. And yeah, predictability is not something that I'm a particular fan of, but I still try to put that aside to enjoy this matchup. And I think what I'm about to say will say that I did a pretty good job of that. So although it was expected and the result was exactly how you would thought, the match was actually really fun and entertaining for me. Logan continues to put on these really good matches every time he's involved in the big occasions. I think that he absolutely brings everything he's got, and he's just a great character to have in the ring and on TV. As a natural heel, he just does a really good job of that as well. I think that sort of like really works for his character, as well as his in-ring presence, which we all praise a hell of a lot. I think his character work is actually really good too. But yeah, his heelish antics, mixed with that little bit of desperation, made for some very up and down moments throughout. And those brass knuckles, they came into play obviously with his Prime. I don't know what you call them, like his mates from Prime. I don't really know what we're officially titling them as, but you guys do know who I mean. So yeah, passing in the brass knuckles, he would take advantage of it whilst the referee's distracted, and the finish was a bit telegraphed. The only thing I didn't really see coming was the special guest announcer, who would sort of like interfere with Logan and obviously cost him the opportunity to use the brass knuckles and to take advantage and to get the win. That was the only real bit I didn't see coming at the start. But the whole bit with Michael Cole during the match was hella entertaining. Really, really fun and funny to see that sort of interaction play out. Just Cole basically saying how he's a loser. And yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was quite entertaining. But yeah, you... what are your thoughts on this one then, Nick? Did you think the same as me? Did you enjoy this one despite the predictability, or did you maybe find a little bit more critiques to come from this one?
Yeah, the Cole interactions were great, and I think his hatred towards Logan and Dominic Mysterio are great, and I encourage more of that kind of behavior, because I kind of miss the Bayley Michael Cole feud as well. But yeah, I don't have a ton to add. Just reiterate kind of the same facts that you did, basically. Yeah, I think we all kind of saw the brass knucks being used, and I get off my broken record of the heel doing heel things, but it just feels like he's such a good in-ring talent and good on the mic as well, especially for how long he's been doing this. And I know we've each said this numerous times, but it just doesn't feel necessary. Like it's I guess if maybe that's what he wants to do, and so that's fine, I guess. But that combined with the fact that we didn't know which titles were going to be up for grabs, and it ended up just being Cody's, and I don't think there was a soul that thought that was going to be the case, that Cody was going to lose to Logan. I think just kind of it was hard to stay invested in this one because of that for me personally. Not to take away from the match, it just feels like it's almost like if you have a match spoiled for you beforehand, it just takes a little bit from it, and I almost felt like that out the gate here, because it just knew that Cody was not going to lose his title to Logan Paul. But yeah, with that being said, it was one of the better matches of the night, I think. I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10. Still not the best. I think the triple threat for Intercontinental title was the best one in my opinion.
And I also agree with that. I gave this one a 9 out of 10, so a little bit worse than what I gave the Intercontinental Championship matchup. There's only so much you can give a match that's very predictable from the get-go. So being obviously, like you said, for the one title, it's a bit of a no-brainer on this one. But Logan now, had this random Universal Championship match. He can now go off and hopefully defend his title that he's got, the US Championship. So, maybe that puts himself in a position where he can sort of handle his own business from there on, not look to go after another championship. So, yeah, I think we hopefully have gone past that point now with these, unified championships and obviously, having two belts and whatnot. I'd like to think we're past that. We're moving on to other times, and fingers crossed that it is like that. Maybe this is just sort of like a a last, could it be, could it not be, even though I don't think anybody of us thought it could have been. So, it is one of those things. But yeah, great match. Really enjoyed it. One of the best ones of the night, as you said, I agree. Yeah, a lot of fun to watch, I thought, especially. So in terms of the matches, that is everything discussed in there. As an overall thing, though, basically describing the show as a whole, I thought this one was pretty good. I thought it, for the Saudi shows, I think they've really improved. I think we said this at the back of Crown Jewel late last year. I think they really have changed the sort of the enjoyability of the shows. They're much, much more important feeling, and like just sort of the general quality on the shows is a lot higher. And yeah, I no longer look to these shows and think, oh, like why are we watching this match? I mean, there was a time where we were seeing, like Goldberg, Undertaker, and things like that. And I think now that we're past that, we're on to the card that we just saw yesterday. Times have changed so damn much. It's a great time. It really is a great time. But yeah, new royalty in WWE. King Gunter, Queen Nia, a new Women's World Champion, Liv Morgan. The only real dip in quality of the matches I thought was the Women's Tag Team match, but that wasn't really meant to be anything special anyway. It just kickstart the show, get the crowd pumped, and ready to go. So yeah, not really going to criticize that too much. But all the rest of the matches were great and had really good talking points in them as well. Hey, as to where this goes from here on out, lots of questions, lots of talking points going forward, and my biggest highlight of the night being the Intercontinental Championship match, Sami Zayn retaining in what was just a wonderful contest. Yeah, lots of good things to take away, and looking forward to those Queen and King of the Ring guaranteed title matches. I give this one an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head there. I think we have discussed these Saudi shows before, and it helps. There's actually a gimmick to the pay-per-view, PLE, in this case being King and Queen of the Ring. And the card was stacked as far as I'm concerned. And I don't really consider the pre-show match a part of it anyways. And so not putting that in my overall rating as an 8.5 is, I think, what I would give it. And yeah, all of my complaints are very, minor. I'm just trying to come up with something. But yeah, I thought this was a really good show, and I think kind of lived up to the expectations. And I think that's this is the era we're in now. 5 match cards, and it doesn't seem like much, but gives them more time to hone their craft, and I'm all for that. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the new royalty members do, and see what Liv does before Mommy gets back. And yeah, I say it's 26th. Next PLE is the 15th, Clash at the Castle. So literally less than 3 weeks away already from our next PLE. So I assume we'll hit the ground running here tomorrow night, kicking things off for that.
And we've already had a little bit of teaser for that one, haven't we? We had Triple H announce at King and Queen of the Ring that Drew McIntyre would go one-on-one with Damian Priest for the World Championship. So yeah, we've got a little bit of a taster there for what is going to come. And exciting times ahead. Literally 3 weeks to go. It's not very far, so we don't really have much of a wait, as you mentioned. But yeah, general improvement in these Saudi shows. It's for the better. It's great. It's glad that we've got to that point, and looking forward to Clash in a number of weeks. But hey, thank you very much to everybody here who has popped on in and listened to what we've had to say. Hope you enjoyed the show as well. If you've got anything to say regarding what we've mentioned in this video, please leave a comment in the section, and please hit a like and subscribe to the channel if you're liking what we're putting out here. So thank you very much everybody who's popped on in, and we appreciate all of you. We'll see you next time. Do a predictions video for the Clash at the Castle coming up in a few weeks, and we will see you guys then. So this has been The Push with Nick and KP, and we will see you guys next time. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you then.